The great crystal hall floated in space above the planet Kepler Prime. Inside, 12 different alien races sat in a circle. Their voices filled the air with strange sounds. Clicks, hisses, and musical tones that meant different things to different species. But today they all agreed on one thing: humanity had to go. Admiral Jack Harrison stood in the center of the room. His gray hair was cut short, and his blue uniform showed many years of service. Around him, alien eyes stared with fear and anger. Some had forearms, others had scales instead of skin. A few looked like giant insects, while others appeared more like walking trees. But they all looked at Jack with the same expression. They wanted him and his people gone. "The humans are too dangerous," said Ambassador Veltar from the Zephyrian race. His purple skin shimmered as he spoke, and his forearms moved in the air to make his point stronger. "They build too many ships. They take too many planets. They grow too fast." Captain Lisa Morgan stepped forward from behind Jack. She was young for a captain, only 35, with brown hair tied back in a neat bun. Her voice was steady when she spoke. "We have followed every rule you gave us. We signed every peace treaty. We have done nothing wrong." "Wrong?" The voice came from High Counselor Thexera. She looked like a giant snake with arms, her green scales catching the light from the crystal walls. "You humans think fighting is the answer to everything. You make weapons instead of art. You train soldiers instead of poets." Jack kept his face calm, but inside he was angry. Humans had tried for 50 years to be part of this galactic community. They had shared their technology, opened their worlds to alien visitors, and learned 12 different languages just to talk to these creatures. Now they were being thrown out like unwanted guests. "In the past 10 years, continued another alien voice, humans have built 300 new warships. Why do you need so many weapons if you come in peace?" Lisa tried to answer. "We explore dangerous parts of space. There are pirates, unknown threats, and worlds with hostile environments. Our ships protect our people and yours too." "Lies," hissed Counselor Zekmon, whose race looked like walking crystals. "You prepare for war against us. Your military grows stronger every day. Soon you will think you can challenge the Council itself." The alien leaders whispered among themselves in their strange languages. Jack could not understand the words, but he knew what they were saying. The decision had already been made before this meeting started. This was just for show. Ambassador Veltar stood up, his forearms raised high. "The Galactic Council has made its choice. By vote of 12 to 0, we declare that humanity is no longer welcome in Council space. You are hereby banished from all systems outside your home solar system." The words hit Jack like a physical blow. Banished. After 50 years of trying to belong, they were being kicked out. "You have 30 standard days," Thexara continued, "to remove all human presence from Council space. This includes your colonies, your military bases, your research stations, and your trading posts. Everything." Lisa's face went pale. "Counselor, please listen to reason. We have 47 colonies out there. Millions of people call those worlds home. Some were born there and have never seen Earth. Where will they go?" "That is not our problem," replied the crystal being Zekmon. "You should have thought about that before you became a threat to galactic peace." Jack finally spoke, his voice quiet but firm. "Very well. We will comply with your decision." He looked around the circle of alien faces. "But remember this day. Remember that you chose fear over friendship. You chose to judge us not by our actions but by your own prejudices." The gavel came down with a sound that echoed through the crystal chamber. The meeting was over. As Jack and Lisa walked toward the exit, they could hear the aliens celebrating behind them. The human problem was solved, they thought. Outside the council chamber, Lisa grabbed Jack's arm. "Sir, what are we going to do? How can we move millions of people in just 30 days? Jack looked out through the great windows at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there were human families who would soon lose their homes, children who would have to leave the only worlds they had ever known, scientists who would have to abandon years of research. "We do exactly what they asked," Jack said slowly. "We leave council space. Every ship, every person, every piece of human technology. We go home. And then?" Jack's eyes hardened. "Then we show them what humanity is really capable of. They think we're dangerous now. They have no idea what we can become when we put our minds to it." As their ship flew away from Kepler Prime, Lisa looked at the data on her screen. 47 colonies, 6 research stations, 12 military outposts, and 38 trading posts. "It will take our entire fleet working non-stop to evacuate everyone." "Then that's what we'll do," Jack replied. No human left behind. We go home together and we prepare. Prepare for what? Jack was quiet for a long moment, watching the stars through the ship's windows. For the day when we return, and when we do, it won't be as supplicants begging for acceptance. It will be as the rightful owners of this galaxy. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying the news that would unite humanity like never before. Behind them, the Galactic Council congratulated itself on solving the human problem. They had no idea that they had just created something far more dangerous than anything they had feared before. In the depths of space, humanity began its exodus. But this was not the end of their story. It was just the beginning of something that would reshape the galaxy forever. The Council had made their choice, and now humanity would make theirs. The age of human expansion was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Fleet Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USV Freedom, watching the largest movement of people in human history. Through the great windows of her flagship, she could see hundreds of ships filling the space around Earth. Colony transports, military vessels, mining platforms, and research ships all waited in perfect formation. "Admiral, the last evacuation ship from New Dallas has just arrived," reported Commander Ryan Brooks from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel, updating the fleet roster. "That makes 238 ships total." Kate nodded but did not smile. Each ship represented thousands of lives disrupted, homes abandoned, and dreams shattered. In just 30 days, humanity had given up everything they had built beyond the solar system. The cost was enormous, but the anger was even greater. Captain Paul Martinez approached Kate with a datapad in his hands. "Ma'am, President Carter wants to address the fleet before we begin the final phase of withdrawal." The main screen lit up, showing President Daniel Carter speaking from his office on Earth. Behind him, Kate could see the flags of all 47 abandoned colonies hanging as a reminder of what they had lost. "My fellow humans," Carter began, his voice reaching every ship in the fleet. "Today marks the end of one chapter in our history and the beginning of another. The Galactic Council has shown us that they fear our potential. They see our strength and call it aggression. They see our growth and call it a threat." Kate watched the faces of her crew as they listened. She saw anger, sadness, but also something else: determination. The same look she had seen on human faces throughout history when they were told something was impossible. "But they have made a mistake," Carter continued. "They think that by sending us home they have contained us. They believe that by taking away our colonies they have weakened us. They are wrong. They have done something far more dangerous than they realize. They have united every human being against a common enemy. The evacuation had been a miracle of organization and determination. In 30 days humanity had moved 6 million people, their belongings, their animals, and even their plants. They had dismantled entire cities and loaded them onto transport ships. They had taken apart research stations that had taken decades to build. Dr. Helen Price sat in the medical bay of one of the colony ships, holding a small girl who was crying for her home on Kepler 442. "Where are we going?" the girl asked. "Home," Helen said gently. "We're going home to prepare for something wonderful." But Helen knew that home would be different now. Earth was crowded, its resources stretched thin by the sudden arrival of millions of refugees. The other planets in the solar system were being rapidly developed to house everyone, but it would take time. On Mars, construction crews worked day and night to build new cities. The asteroid belt buzzed with activity as mining operations expanded to feed the growing population. The moons of Jupiter and Saturn were being turned into industrial centers. Admiral Jake Wilson coordinated the massive logistics operation from Ceres Station. "We need housing for 6 million people, food production for the same number, and jobs for everyone," he told his staff during their daily briefing. "The President has authorized unlimited resources for this operation." "Sir," asked Colonel Nancy Foster, "what about the military expansion program?" Jake's expression grew serious. "That's classified, but I can tell you this much. We're not just rebuilding what we lost. We're building something completely new." In the deepest parts of the asteroid belt, construction had already begun on facilities that officially did not exist. The best human scientists and engineers were being quietly recruited for projects with names like New Dawn and Prometheus Rising. Dr. Richard Stone, formerly the head researcher on the abandoned colony of Tau Ceti Prime, now found himself in a laboratory buried deep inside the asteroid Vesta. Around him, Men and women who had been spread across 47 worlds were now working together on a single project. The alien technology we've studied over the past 50 years, Richard explained to his team, was always beyond our reach because we tried to copy it exactly. Now we're going to do something different. We're going to improve it. The project files were marked with the highest security classifications, faster-than-light communication systems that could reach across the galaxy instantly, ship designs that used principles of physics the aliens had never discovered, weapons that could disable entire fleets without destroying them. Back on Earth, President Carter met with his closest advisors in a room deep beneath the White House. The walls were lined with screens showing the progress of dozens of secret projects. "How long?" Carter asked. General Amy Foster, the youngest woman ever to hold her rank, answered without hesitation. 15 years, Mr. President. 15 years to complete all phases of the project. And then? Then we return to the galaxy, Amy said. But not as the same humanity that was banished. We return as something they've never seen before. The months passed and the galaxy began to forget about humanity. Trade routes that had once included human worlds were rerouted. The territories abandoned by humans were divided up among the 12 council species. Everything returned to normal, or so they thought. But in the solar system, something extraordinary was happening. Humanity was transforming itself in ways that would have seemed impossible just years before. The pain of banishment was being forged into something harder and stronger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Commander Alex Turner, formerly stationed at the frontier outpost of Wolf 359, now commanded a construction project in the Kuiper Belt. The ships being built there looked nothing like the utilitarian vessels of the old human fleet. These were sleek, deadly, and incorporated technology that made them superior to anything in known space. The council wanted us gone because they thought we were dangerous, Alex told his construction crews during a shift change. When we return, they'll discover what dangerous really means. The Great Withdrawal was complete, but it was not an ending. It was a metamorphosis. Humanity had pulled back into its chrysalis, and what would emerge would be beyond anything the galaxy had ever imagined. In 15 years, the Council would learn the true meaning of their mistake. 15 years had passed since humanity disappeared from the galaxy. The Galactic Council had long since stopped thinking about the human problem. Trade flourished between the 12 species, territories were redistributed, and peace ruled the stars. The aliens congratulated themselves on making the right choice. On the water world of Aquatica Prime, Ambassador Veltar relaxed in his ceremonial pools, his 4 arms floating peacefully in the warm water. His aide approached with the daily reports. "Any interesting news today?" Veltar asked lazily. "Nothing significant, sir. Zephyrian mining operations are up 12%. The crystal people of Zekmon report successful harvests on their new agricultural worlds. The snake-like Thexarans have opened 3 new research facilities. And the humans? What humans, sir? They've been gone for 15 years. Long enough for a whole generation to grow up without ever seeing one." Veltar smiled with satisfaction. The galaxy was better without the aggressive, unpredictable humans. Their former territories had been divided fairly among the council members, and everyone had prospered. But far away, in a solar system the council had forgotten about, something extraordinary was happening. Dr. Helen Price worked in Laboratory Complex 7, hidden deep inside the asteroid Ceres. The facility was larger than most cities, carved out of solid rock and shielded from all outside detection. Around her, the greatest minds humanity had ever produced worked on projects that seemed like magic. "The neural interface is working perfectly," announced Dr. Richard Stone, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Human reaction time has been reduced to 0.03 seconds. That's faster than any known alien species can even think." Helen looked at the test results on her screen. The volunteer soldiers in the enhancement program were becoming something beyond normal human capability. Their minds worked faster, their bodies were stronger, and their reflexes were superhuman. "What about the side effects?" she asked, none detected. "The volunteers report feeling more alert, more capable, but still completely human. The enhancement doesn't change who they are, just what they can do." In another section of the laboratory, Commander Alex Turner reviewed the latest weapon test results. The new plasma rifles could punch through alien ship armor like it was paper. The defensive shields could stop anything the council species could throw at them. "Our biggest advantage," Alex explained to his team, "is that they stopped paying attention to us. They have no idea what we've become. The transformation of humanity had been total and systematic. Every refugee from the abandoned colonies had been given a choice: return to a normal life on Earth or join the Great Project. Most chose the project. Captain Noah Bennett commanded the secret shipyards in the Kuiper Belt. The vessels being constructed there were unlike anything ever seen in the galaxy. They used principles of physics that the aliens had never discovered, incorporating human innovations with improved versions of alien technology. "How many ships are ready?" asked Admiral Jake Wilson during his monthly inspection. 12,000 combat vessels of various classes, Noah replied proudly. Each one is superior to anything in the Council fleets. We've also completed 800 support ships and 200 mobile bases. The ships themselves were works of art and engineering. They could bend light around themselves to become invisible. Their weapons could disable enemy vessels without destroying them. Most importantly, they could travel faster than anything else in known space. But the real achievement was not the technology. It was what humanity had become. Dr. Sarah Kim worked with the psychological research team in the hidden facilities on Titan. "We've solved the fundamental problem that worried the Council," she reported to President Carter during a secure video call. "Human aggression and competition channeled properly becomes cooperation and excellence." "Explain," Carter requested. "For the first time in human history, we all have the same goal. We're not fighting each other for resources or territory. We're working together to prove that we deserve our place among the stars. The result is a level of cooperation and achievement that surpasses anything we've ever accomplished." The evidence was everywhere. Human colonies within the solar system had become more efficient and productive than any world they had abandoned. Crime had virtually disappeared. Scientific advancement had accelerated beyond all previous rates. Colonel Steve Hamilton commanded the new human military academies on Europa. The soldiers being trained there were not just enhanced physically and mentally. They were educated in alien languages, cultures, and psychology. "We're not preparing for conquest," Steve explained to his cadets during graduation. "We're preparing for liberation. The galaxy has been stagnant under Council rule for centuries. We're going to wake it up." The training programs were unlike anything in human military history. Soldiers learned to think in multiple dimensions, to react faster than computer systems, and to solve problems that would challenge entire alien research teams. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Brooks, now a seasoned officer after 15 years of preparation, led a simulation exercise in the asteroid belt. Her team had to disable a mock alien fleet without causing casualties. "Remember," she told her pilots, "we're not the bad guys in this story. The Council banished us because they were afraid. When we return, we show them that their fear was both justified and unnecessary." The simulation went perfectly. Human ships appeared from nowhere, disabled the mock enemy fleet in minutes, and disappeared again. The aliens in the exercise never had a chance to understand what hit them. Meanwhile, the real Galactic Council went about their business, completely unaware of what was building in the solar system they had forgotten. High Counselor Thexara slithered through her palace gardens on the Thexaran homeworld, enjoying the peace and prosperity of the post-human galaxy. Her aide brought news of the day's events. "Trade is up across all sectors," the aide reported. "The former human territories are producing wealth beyond our original projections. The decision to banish them was clearly correct." "Indeed," Thexara agreed. "The humans were too unpredictable, too chaotic. The galaxy is much better without them." Neither she nor any other council member noticed the strange signals that occasionally appeared at the edge of their sensor networks. Signals that suggested someone was watching them, studying them, learning everything about their defenses and capabilities. In the deepest secret facilities of the solar system, humanity continued its transformation. They were no longer the same species that had been banished 15 years earlier. They had become something unprecedented in galactic history, a unified, enhanced, and absolutely determined civilization with a single goal. The Council had created exactly what they feared most. And soon, very soon, they would discover their mistake. The silent years were almost over. The first sign that something was wrong came from the Zephyrian mining colony on Tau Ceti 3. One day it was there, bustling with 50,000 workers extracting rare minerals from the planet's crust. The next day it was gone, not destroyed, not attacked, simply gone. Ambassador Veltar stared at the reports in his underwater office on Aquatica Prime. His forearms trembled as he read the same impossible words over and over. Entire colony missing. No debris, no distress signals, no trace of what happened. "Sir," his aide said nervously, "our long-range sensors show no evidence of weapons fire, no energy signatures, nothing that would indicate an attack. It's as if 50,000 people just vanished into thin air." Veltar's purple skin darkened with fear. In his 300 years of life, he had never heard of anything like this. "Send word to the council. Emergency session." But before the council could meet, more reports came in. A Thexiran research station studying star formation simply disappeared. A Crystal People cargo convoy carrying food to 3 different worlds never arrived at any destination. Trading posts went silent. Outposts stopped responding to communications. High Counselor Thexara slithered nervously around the council chambers as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Her green scales had lost their usual shine, and her voice carried a tremor she had never shown before. "In the past month," she announced to the assembled council members, "we have lost contact with 47 installations across 12 star systems. Not attacked, not destroyed, gone." The crystal being Zekmon's faceted body reflected the chamber lights in chaotic patterns. "Our scientists have no explanation. Our military commanders are baffled. Whatever is doing this operates beyond our understanding. Could it be a new species?" asked the insect-like representative from the Hive Collective, her antennae twitching with anxiety. Some unknown threat from outside council space? The question hung in the air until Ambassador Veltar's aide rushed into the chamber, carrying an urgent message pad. "Counselors," the aide gasped, "we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies simultaneously. Someone is broadcasting to every world, every ship, every communication device in council space." The main screen activated, and the chamber fell silent. The face that appeared was older than they remembered, marked by years and hardship but unmistakable. Admiral Jack Harrison looked directly at them from what appeared to be the bridge of a starship, unlike any they had ever seen. "Members of the former Galactic Council." Jack's voice was calm, almost conversational, as if he were discussing the weather instead of announcing the impossible. 15 years ago, you declared humanity unfit for galactic civilization. You banished us to our home system because you feared our potential." Behind Jack, the council members could see other humans working at stations that seemed to blend organic curves with crystalline structures. The technology was clearly advanced beyond anything they possessed. "We accepted your judgment," Jack continued. "We withdrew from all council space as ordered. We took our people, our ships, our dreams, and we went home. But we never agreed to stay there forever." The transmission expanded to show the scope of what humanity had accomplished. Views of massive space cities orbiting stars the council had never heard of. Planets transformed into garden worlds that made the richest council territories look barren. Technologies that bent the laws of physics in ways that should have been impossible. "While you divided up our former territories and congratulated yourselves on solving the human problem," Jack said, "we were busy. We explored regions of space you never dared to visit. We colonized worlds you declared uninhabitable. We developed technologies that make your greatest achievements look primitive." Counselor Thexara found her voice. "This is impossible. You were contained to one star system. Our sensors would have detected any expansion." Jack smiled, and the expression was not entirely pleasant. "Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect. For 15 years we've been watching you, studying you, learning everything about your capabilities and weaknesses. You never noticed because you stopped looking." The scope of human expansion was staggering. The transmission showed star maps with thousands of systems marked as human territory. Not the 47 colonies they had been forced to abandon, but thousands of worlds spread across regions of space the Council had never explored. Captain Noah Bennett stepped into view beside Jack. He had aged well, his hair now silver but his bearing still strong. "The ships you've been seeing, the installations that have been disappearing, that's just the beginning. We've been conducting a comprehensive survey of Council space, cataloging your defenses, your resources, your capabilities. What do you want?" Feltar's voice was barely a whisper. "What we've always wanted," Jack replied. "Our rightful place in galactic civilization, but not as supplicants begging for acceptance, as the species best suited to lead it." The transmission showed human fleets that dwarfed anything the Council had ever assembled, Ships that moved through space like living things, adapting their shapes for different purposes. Weapons that could disable entire armadas without destroying them. Defensive systems that made direct attack pointless. Dr. Helen Price appeared on screen, her hair now white but her eyes bright with achievement. We've solved problems that have plagued the galaxy for millennia. Faster-than-light communication across any distance. Medical technology that can extend the life of any species. Energy systems that can power entire civilizations without environmental damage. We're prepared to share all of this, Jack added, but under new management. Admiral Jake Wilson's voice joined the broadcast from another ship. Your military forces are already surrounded. Every major council world has human fleets in orbit, invisible to your sensors but ready to act. Every strategic installation is under our observation. Every defensive network has been mapped and can be neutralized. The council members looked at each other in growing panic. Zekmon's crystalline form was flickering with stress patterns. The insect representative's wings were buzzing in agitation. Thexara's scales had turned almost black with fear. You have a choice, Jack continued. You can accept the new reality peacefully, and we can work together to build something better than this galaxy has ever seen. Or you can resist and discover exactly how dangerous we've become. To demonstrate their capabilities, the transmission showed the missing colonies and installations. They were not destroyed. They were intact, their populations safe and unharmed, but relocated to secure facilities where they were being treated well and educated about the coming changes. We don't want to rule through fear, Jack explained. We want to build a true galactic civilization where every species contributes their strengths to something greater than any of us could achieve alone. But we learned something important during our 15 years of exile. Sometimes the greatest kindness is being absolutely clear about who's in charge. The transmission showed children of different species playing together in human-built facilities, alien scientists working alongside human researchers, and technological marvels that promised a future of unprecedented prosperity and achievement. You have 24 hours to consider our proposal, Jack concluded. After that, we begin the transition whether you agree or not. The galaxy is about to change, and humanity will lead that change. We hope you'll choose to be part of it. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Outside their windows, shapes began to appear in space around the station. Human ships materializing from invisibility like ghosts becoming solid. The return had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The war lasted exactly 6 months and 3 days, if it could even be called a war. General Amy Foster stood in the command center of the human flagship Destiny, watching displays that showed the simultaneous occupation of every major council world. The operation was proceeding exactly as planned, with a precision that would have been impossible for any other species in the galaxy. Status. Report from all sectors, she requested. Colonel Steve Hamilton's voice came through from the Zephyrian homeworld. Aquatica Prime is secure. Local government has surrendered. No casualties on either side. Population is cooperating. Thexaran Prime is under our control, reported Commander Lisa Brooks. Their military attempted resistance but stood down after we disabled their entire fleet in 17 minutes. Again, no casualties. Similar reports came in from across the galaxy. The Crystal People's worlds, the insect colonies, the tree-like beings of the Outer Rim, all had fallen to human forces with an efficiency that seemed almost supernatural. The truth was, humanity had spent 15 years studying their former council partners. They knew the location of every military base, every government building, every strategic resource. More importantly, they understood the psychology of each species well enough to predict exactly how they would respond. Admiral Jack Harrison walked through the corridors of the former council station, now renamed Unity Station. The alien representatives he passed looked at him with mixtures of fear, confusion, and grudging respect. The transition had been swift, but it had not been cruel. Dr. Helen Price met Jack in what used to be the council chambers. The room had been redesigned to accommodate not just the 12 former council species, but dozens of others that humanity had contacted during their years of expansion. How are our new citizens adjusting? Jack asked. Better than expected, Helen replied, consulting her data pad. The key was demonstrating that we're not conquerors in the traditional sense. We're liberators. Most of the alien populations are already seeing improvements in their daily lives. This was true. Human technology had immediately solved problems that had plagued the galaxy for centuries. Faster-than-light communication meant that families separated by vast distances could talk instantly. Medical advances were extending lifespans and curing diseases that had been considered incurable. Energy systems were providing unlimited power without environmental damage. Captain Noah Bennett oversaw the integration process from the Human Administrative Center on Earth. His office overlooked gardens where alien and human children played together, learning each other's languages and customs. The former council leaders are requesting another meeting, his aide informed him. Schedule it, Noah replied. But remind them that they're attending as advisors now, not rulers. The meeting took place in a new chamber designed to accommodate all the galaxy's species. High Counselor Thexara entered slowly, her serpentine form showing the stress of recent events. Ambassador Veltar followed, his forearms hanging limp with defeat. The other former council members filed in with similar expressions of resignation. President Daniel Carter, now bearing the title of Galactic Administrator, entered with a delegation of human officials and alien advisors who had chosen to work with the new government. His manner was formal but not unkind. Counselors, Carter began, thank you for accepting our invitation. I know these past months have been difficult for all of you. Thexara's voice was bitter when she spoke. You mean since you conquered our entire civilization in less than a year? We prefer to think of it as reunification, Carter replied calmly. The galaxy was divided and stagnant under the old system. We've created something better. Better? Veltar's purple skin had darkened with anger. You've destroyed everything we built over thousands of years. Dr. Richard Stone, now serving as Director of Galactic Research, stepped forward with a presentation screen. Actually, we've enhanced everything you built. Would you like to see the statistics? The screen showed comparative data from before and after the human takeover. Trade between worlds had increased by 400%. Scientific advancement was proceeding at unprecedented rates. Crime had dropped to virtually zero across all human-controlled space. Most significantly, quality of life measurements showed improvement for every species. How is this possible? Asked Zekmon, the crystal being's faceted form reflecting his confusion. Simple, explained General Amy Foster. We eliminated the inefficiencies of the old system. No more bureaucratic delays between worlds. No more resources wasted on territorial disputes. No more technological development slowed by committees and politics. The former council members listened as human officials explained the new galactic structure. Each world maintained its local customs and governance, but major decisions were coordinated through human administrators who had been trained in alien psychology and culture. Admiral Jake Wilson presented the security situation. We've also solved the problems that the Council could never address. Piracy has been eliminated. The hostile species beyond Council space have been either integrated peacefully or contained. Trade routes that were dangerous for centuries are now completely safe. And what about those who don't want to be part of your empire? Thexara asked. Carter's expression grew serious. Every species has been given the same choice we were never offered. They can join willingly and prosper, or they can be relocated to areas where they can live as they choose without interfering with galactic development. But they cannot threaten the peace and prosperity we've built. Commander Alex Turner spoke up from his position near the viewing windows. The difference is that we actually follow through on our promises. When we say someone will be treated fairly, they are. When we say technology will be shared, it is. When we say peace will be maintained, it is. The meeting continued for hours with human officials patiently explaining how the new order worked. The former council members gradually began to understand that this was not a traditional conquest. Humanity had not simply replaced the council with another version of the same system. They had created something entirely new. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks presented the most significant announcement. We've made contact with the Andromedan galaxy. There are civilizations there that make our combined technology look primitive. Some are peaceful, some are hostile. The old council system would never have been able to deal with them. But working together, with human coordination and the combined knowledge of all our species, Carter continued, we can meet these new challenges and opportunities as equals. As the meeting ended, Thexara approached Carter privately. I have to ask, she said quietly, was this always your plan? Even 15 years ago, did you know this would happen? Carter considered the question carefully. We knew we would return. We knew we deserved better than exile. But the scope of what we've accomplished? That surprised even us. You gave us 15 years to become everything we were capable of being. In trying to contain us, you freed us to become something beyond what any of us imagined. Through the chamber windows, the former counselor could see ships from dozens of species working together on construction projects that would benefit everyone. Human engineering, Zephyrian artistry, crystal people precision, and Thexeran wisdom combined to create wonders that none of them could have achieved alone. The irony, Carter continued, is that we've become exactly what you always said you wanted the galaxy to be. Peaceful, prosperous, and united. We just had to show you how to do it properly. As the sun set over Unity Station, the lights of 1,000 worlds twinkled in the distance. Each one represented billions of beings living better lives than they had ever known. The galaxy was united under human leadership, but it was a unity based on mutual benefit rather than fear. The former Galactic Council had banished humanity because they feared human ambition. Now the galaxy thrived under that same ambition, channeled toward the betterment of all species. The Council's greatest fear had become their greatest blessing, and the galaxy would prosper for generations to come. Humanity had claimed their rightful place among the stars, not through conquest, but through proving that they alone possessed the vision and capability to unite the galaxy in peace and prosperity.